Good morning. Apologies, I had intended to come on a little bit earlier, but yeah, life gets in the way. Need to form some better habits. Perfect topic for today. So, thank you for joining me today. I am Jane Tweedy, the host of Tea Time Tips. Cheers. Grab a cup of tea if you haven't got one and come and join us. Basically, what happens with Tea Time Tips is we go through a quick bit of training rather than it being an extended period of training. We do a shorter thing that's more bite sized and can be applied to you. Just going to check that we appear to be going live at least in a couple of the spots. Otherwise, it's a little bit pointless going ahead, and I have had that issue before and had to re record something later. So it's not ideal. So I'm just going to check that we are going live. So just bear with me a moment and then I will get kick started. So I'll just check. Yes, we looks like we are in Facebook, so that is good. And just check that we are in LinkedIn. It's one I tend to have the most problems with. So just double check. Yep, that's cool. Okay, so we'll get going. Also, hopefully today I've added it to YouTube. So that is a first. So if you are joining me, awesome. If you have any questions as we go, please put them in. Hopefully they will show up. If they don't, because I am using BeLive, I will respond to them later. So let's get kick started. So just share my screen. So we are here today for habits, how to form good habits and break bad habits. Although most sessions I do are for business owners, this particular session is for anybody because we all have habits, whether they're good or bad in our lives, and we want to make some changes. So first of all, I just want to acknowledge the country. I acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land on which we meet today, and I pay my respects to the elders past and present and celebrate the diversity of Aboriginal people and their ongoing culture and influence they have over Australia. So, disclaimer, the information I'm giving you today is generic in nature and may not apply to you. If it's required, please seek advice from myself or a trusted advisor. The slide pack that I'm using today, the habit trackers I will show you, and the recording itself will be made available through a course in my online school available at faqbusinesstraining.com, not the .com.au. So the .com site is my online school. You can find all the courses there, and these tea time tip episodes will appear there with the extras. Because, say on YouTube, yep, you can access it, but you don't get all the bells and whistles. So the agenda for today: why are habits important? And they are really important. And how do we break habits? Another important part of it, because we all have bad habits that we do repeatedly, and we've got to get out of those cycles. We're going to talk about making new habits. We're going to talk about the motivation required to do that and how you really got to start with your why. You know, the old Simon Sinek phrase, start with why. And then we're going to look at habit tracking and accountability after we've looked at starting small and stacking and prompting. And you'll see why that's important as we go through when I give you a couple of examples today. Because as we know, stories sell, facts tell. So, what are tea time tips? They are where we grab a cup of tea and we learn something. So it's shorter than a lunch and learn. It's designed to be done in a tea break or something like that, or when you have some free time. So, who am I? My name is Jane Tweedy. I have my own businesses, including FAQ Business Training, with which I present today. I am also a Business Connect advisor, which is a New South Wales government funded program. And you can access me if you're in New South Wales for no cost for up to 8 hours a financial year. I'm also a lifelong learner, constantly looking at things, reading things, learning things, and have qualifications up to the master's level. And I'm also a professional certified coach with the ICF. But today, it's all about you and me and getting our habits sorted. So, why are habits important? Why? Because we all have habits. Whether they're good habits or bad habits, we all have them, right? So it's needing to be conscious of the bad habits that we're doing and how can we turn them into better habits, more healthy habits. So what can we stop doing or change, and what can we create? How can we create something new? So why are habits important? Whether we choose them or not, we have them, right? So we may as well choose something that's healthy and good for us instead of something that's bad for us. Bad habits, ultimately, worst case scenario, can cost us our lives and our livelihoods. And the really obvious examples here are things like smoking and drinking and gambling and overeating. Guilty on the last one. Good habits definitely let us achieve more in our lives. So if we practice healthy eating, we're probably going to live longer and not succumb to some of the illnesses and things. If we exercise, we'll, be able to continue doing things as we get older. If we work diligently, we're going to get more stuff done and get stuff done on time. Show up on lives when we say we're going to. It can be used in place of goal setting, or it can be used with your goal setting. So it can be either or, and we'll talk about that in a sec. And we also want to talk about, well, how do we turn bad into good? So the focus here is, why are good habits important? Because we know we have habits. We want the good ones. So first of all, I just want to cover off this issue about habits in lieu of goal setting. So goals are very much a point in time, as at a certain date, I want to have achieved a certain thing. The problem with that is that our goals can change. And that's why I always use this little picture. I was so glad when I found this local school had this goalpost exactly as I had the idea in my mind, because the idea with goals is we do not use goals which are stuck goalposts into concrete, into the ground we can never move, because that's not real. Things change. The world changes around us. COVID was obviously a big example of that. We had to move our goalposts. So I like to think of goalposts as these sort of kids' goalposts, where they are still a metal frame. They're still big and heavy. We still have to physically move them when we choose to, but we can choose to move them and consciously move them. So that is important. Okay, so evaluate and readjust is an important part of goal setting. We don't just set and forget, we're able to move them. But we don't want them like those really plasticky, tiny little kids' goalposts, because we don't want to just be able to have them blow off in the wind. We want to actually make sure we are focusing, because when we focus our attention, our energy, and our attention on one thing, we're much more likely to get there. Whereas if we scatter it, which a lot of us do, when we scatter, we don't get where we want to go. So what happens when I achieve my goal? So sometimes you get to the goal, you achieve it. Yay, I want to make $10,000. Yay, we get to $10,000. It's like, oh, well, what did that get us? Often that's because we haven't thought about the right goal, or it could be a stepping stone on the path to something bigger, to the 100,000, to the $1 million. And also with goals, it's that consideration. Are we focused on the destination, or are we focused on the journey to get there? So that's why sometimes habits by themselves can be something that can be quite useful, because we're not relying on going somewhere. It could be an aspirational identity we're trying to achieve. We just want to be something or do something. So we want to be fitter and healthier. We don't have a particular goal. We just want to be fitter and healthier over time. So the habits help us do that. However, if we have a particular goal in mind with our fitness or our health, then the habits can help us form that and get to that goal. So like I said, can be with or without goal setting. So how do we change bad into good? Before we do that, I just want to introduce you to two particular people and two particular books that are so important in this space. What I think are, I love them. So the two books are B.J. Fogg, author of Tiny Habits, this book here, and just something to be wary of, because I did have this with one of my members in my membership. The text is very tiny, ironically, in Tiny Habits. So for some of you, the text in this will not be great. So don't necessarily get the physical copy, get the audio or the Kindle version. And the other one that I highly recommend is this one by James Clear. And this one is called Atomic Habits. And you'll see both of them have tiny. This one's Tiny Habits. This one says Tiny Changes, Remarkable Results. So the thing is, both of them share very similar concepts. So I'm not reinventing the wheel. I'm going to these gurus and saying, hey, they're awesome and amazing. All I'm doing is condensing this for you, basically. So, how do we break bad habits? And I've lifted this totally from James Clear from his book Atomic Habits. Okay. So, I always give credit where credit's due. I'm not making this sound like I've created this because I haven't. Okay. So, when we're breaking habits, he talks about these four components. We want to make it invisible, make it unattractive, make it difficult, and make it unsatisfying. And this is just so obvious and so logical. So, make it invisible. If we are tempted by a chocolate bar, then buying chocolate bars and having them in our house is not a good idea, because when it's not there and the only choice for the snack is an apple, not an apple or a piece of chocolate, we'll go for the apple because it's there. So we're literally making the coconut slab, the chocolate, invisible. Okay. We want to make it unattractive, you know, maybe stick pictures of the fat you that you're trying to get rid of or whatever on the coconut slab. That might stop you. Make it difficult. As I said, don't buy it. Don't buy the chocolate. Leave it at the supermarket. Leave it on the shelf there, because that way, if I want the chocolate, I've got to go to the supermarket instead of just going to my drawer that's right there. The other thing is to make it unsatisfying. So, what are the bad things about that habit that don't make you happy? And, even as I sit here, I can feel that stomach sitting there. It's horrible and it makes me feel ugh. So, remember that more than I remember the joy of the chocolate bar. Okay. So, I don't want people jumping on me about, chocolate's okay. Of course it's okay. Everything's okay in moderation. But if my purpose is that I want to be healthier, that I don't want to suffer the consequences of being obese or whatever, then I have to make some changes. So these are four very simple things you can do to make it easy for you. So something to contemplate. So when we're forming good habits, we've dished the old, let's bring in the new habits. So creating those new healthy habits, basically using again James Clear and BJ Fogg. What are the three things that we can do to form a new healthy habit? First of all, step one is our motivation or our why. Your why has to be strong enough. And that honestly is why I haven't got round to dealing with my weight. Okay. And getting rid of what I don't need. Okay. I haven't done that because although I see photos of me that other people take and I go, oh my God, is that really me? Oh, it freaks me out. Or sitting here, I feel uncomfortable, or I feel puffed when I walk up a few steps or whatever. At the moment, my why is still not strong enough. I'm still not dedicated enough to go, enough's enough, right? I'm sure if the doctor told me you've got 6 months to live if you continue in this way, it might make me change, right? So the thing is, with these little smiley faces, the reason I've used them, if we're a little bit upset, if we're a little bit disgruntled, like the guy in the back here maybe, and we want to get to happy, well, is that a big enough move? If we're super upset or super angry, maybe we'll do more to move to being happy. So we've got to think about, do we have that motivation to continue? And you've also got to think about, what's that outcome? What's that result? What's the emotional benefit I will gain by forming that habit? So what does it mean if I do it? So if I do it, like I'll be able to walk up steps and things without getting puffed and things like that. I will be happy when I see myself in other people's photos. Those sort of things, they're the things that I want. So what results do you want to see, or what aspirational identity do you want to be? I'm not trying to aspire to be a supermodel, but I am aspiring to be a healthier version of me. Okay. So really think about your motivation and your why, because without it, it's very easy to fall off the wagon and stop with our healthy habits. The second step is that are you able to do it? Are you capable of doing it? So setting an unrealistic goal, you just won't get there, right? So your habits to get there are going to be difficult. So what are you able, and is it easy to do? Are you capable of achieving it? So the first thing is that, do I need to undertake any learning? Do I need to seek help? Do I need to outsource? So for instance, your goal in business might be to get more leads. But if you don't know how to do that, or aren't very good at implementing how to do that, you might need to reach out and get support and help. You come along to one of my training sessions, you learn the different ways you can do it. And then you go, oh, I want to do that particular one. And you might have a go at it yourself and you go, yeah, I didn't implement so well. So maybe you get help to actually implement that. Okay. So sometimes you will need to assess your capability to actually do it and then get it done. Keeping it easy is really important. And the example here, no, it doesn't look particularly attractive. That's just my dresser in my bedroom. At the end of my bed, on the wall that way, is my dresser. It was the first thing I saw every morning and literally had become the dumping ground, because as you walked into the bedroom, it was kind of the bathroom, the wardrobe, and in between that was this dresser. And it was just a really convenient dumping ground. As I was going in the bathroom, dump something on there. As I was, getting something out of the wardrobe, dump something on there. It became a little bit of a dumping ground. So the thing was, rather than setting myself a task to clean the entire bedroom or sort it out or whatever, sort out the wardrobe, the bathroom, the bedside table, everything, I literally just did this one spot. So that one spot took, say, 15 minutes to do. The awesome thing is I did that one spot back in January, I think, and that is the picture I took of it today, 31st of March. So I've managed to maintain that spot over the whole thing. And versus the photo I took in January, I think the only thing I've added is that one little butterfly brooch. I left that sitting out because I use that quite a lot. So the rest of it, though, is put away where it should be. Okay. So keeping it easy. When I did that particular task, that was the first of my little decluttering exercise. And then I did another spot, which was and also in the bedroom was a chest that I couldn't access because I had things piled on it, clothes and stuff. So I got rid of those. And again, that is still tidy today. But where I went wrong is I didn't keep it small and compound. Okay. So BJ Fogg talks about motivation, ability, and he talks about prompts. And with the ability, he talks about keeping it small. And the keeping it small part of it, what he talks about is saying, for instance, if you wanted to improve your fitness and stuff like that, rather than saying, right, I'm going to do 10 push-ups, what he said is each time I go to the toilet, I'm going to go to the wall, put my hands on the wall and do 2 wall push-ups. Okay. Very easy to do. Because it's so simple, you're going to go to the toilet and go bang, bang. Oh, that's easy. So it doesn't hinder you. It doesn't stop you from going forward. So you go bang, bang. Then you go the next time, bang, bang. But then what happens the next time? You go, oh, 2's nothing. I'll do 4. Bang, 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 bang. Awesome. So we compound it over time. What you don't want to do is suddenly go, oh, this is too easy. I'm going to drop to the floor and do 10 push-ups if you can't even do 1 currently. Because what happens is what happened to me. And I made this mistake. And what I did is I had the dining table and the pantry were a disaster area. So the whole pantry was a mess. It was poorly laid out. And the dining table was literally covered almost like as an open air pantry. So we have issues there, right? Massive issues. Yeah, Nell says, yeah, small steps. It's the only way you can get to do it all. And this is where I went wrong with this particular issue. What happened here was I decided that the pantry really needed to be tackled in one go. I'd seen Leanne Shelton do it in, shelf by shelf, but I knew my shelves were muddled up. Plus, I had all the stuff sitting on the dining table. Clearly, you can't see that here. This is the picture again today of both areas. The before picture of the pantry didn't look hugely different, but what was different was there was a pile of food sitting on this dining table. So there was things like pasta and pasta sauces and all that sitting there. Now it's all in the pantry. So basically what happened though is I figured, okay, it's all going to be done in one go because it's all connected together. So I enlisted the help of my stepson and we spent 2.5 hours going through, emptying everything out of the pantry, everything off that table, storing it separately, and then putting it all back in its proper home. The problem with that is I have bulging discs on my back. That was way too much for me. Okay. Way too much for me physically, but also it wasn't fun, and I wasn't seeing a quick result like I did with the bedside dresser. And so what I found with the bedside dresser, I did 5 days or whatever of these 10-15 minute tasks each day. And each day I was getting stuff done. I was really happy. Then I did this, and then I basically didn't do any more after it because I'd made the big faux pas is I went big and I went home to the couch. Okay. I couldn't do any more. It just put me off. So, given it's a new month tomorrow, I'm going to start tomorrow, 1st of April, and go back to doing the 10 or 15 minutes a day because I actually really enjoyed that. I found it fun. I found it enjoyable. And therefore, I continued with it in a number of areas. So, that's what I'm going to get back to. So, learn from my mistake and learn from what these people tell you. Don't just suddenly jump it up to a much harder thing. If you're going to start running, the first day it may simply be putting your running shoes by your bed. The next day is putting your running shoes on. Like, keep it simple, keep it small, and you'll find you'll be much more motivated to continue it. Because as soon as you go too far, like I did in this case, it was no good. And I was physically in pain. So I couldn't really do anymore. The third part of it is what's called habit stacking. That's a term that James Clear uses, or prompts is a term that BJ Fogg uses. So I mentioned this before with BJ Fogg. He suggested when you went to the toilet, you did these 2 push-ups. The reason for that is because you are already doing that activity a certain number of times a day. So what type of activities can you habit stack with? Okay, a similar or appropriate thing. So if I'm sitting down at my desk and doing something, it would make sense that when I close up for the day, that I do a quick cleanup of my desk before I leave my desk. Okay, so it's similar. It's working here and then cleaning up here. I'm attaching it to something similar. What about if you have a current good or fun habit you do that you stop each day to watch a particular TV show or something like that, which you're allowed to do, by the way. We need to have fun, we need to enjoy ourselves. But if that's what you like to do, then you associate it and say, right, before I stop to watch that TV show, I'm going to do X activity. Okay, so it's a reward, if you like, for doing an activity. So that can be a good way of habit stacking. Something that you already do, say at lunch. So if you want to do an activity at lunchtime, then attach your habit to whatever else you do at lunchtime. Have lunch, whatever it is, right? So you might say, okay, I want to go for a walk at lunchtime. So you say, when I have lunch, when I finish my lunch, I'm going to go for a walk, or vice versa. I'm going to go for a walk and then I'm going to eat my lunch. Okay, so we're attaching it to something we already do at the same time of day is what we want to do, the new habit. And then the other one, like the toilet example, is if you want to do something multiple times a day, then attach it to something you do multiple times a day. So for instance, if you want to do something twice a day and you brush your teeth morning and night, then that may be a good habit to stack your new habit onto. So when I brush my teeth, I'm also going to do blah. I'm going to do my 10 minutes of decluttering, whatever it is, right? So the next step with habits, once we've formed a new habit, is to keep on top of our new habit. So this is called habit tracking and accountability. Okay. So the first step is habit tracking. I have these little habit trackers that I have created. So if you buy this course, it's only cost you $5. If you buy the course, you will get access to a couple of these habit trackers. So one for a 28-day month, 30-day month, and 31-day month. Basically, you can print these off. And then what you do is each day, so if I start tomorrow, 1st of April, I grab a 30-day tracker and I color in my light bulbs, color them in each day. I'm actually going to be creating a bunch of these to sell. And there will be things like a little broom for like the decluttering or whatever, a little fire for being, on fire and having great ideas. The elephants I find are just good for remembering in general, things like a little barbell for fitness and things like that. So you can grab a tracker related to the actual thing you want to do, because at the end of the day, we do have multiple habits that we need to form and change. So you can mark habits in your diary. So each day you could give yourself a smiley face of the different type of habits you're doing. You can use the habit trackers I've created here. And the reason for doing this is it lets us see that we're actually doing it and we're being consistent. Okay. So I can see there, if I have it for a month and there's 30 days in the month, I can see which days I don't do it. Now, if you have, for instance, you want to have weekends off, then what I suggest is you just grey out the little colours, the little light bulbs or whatever for the weekends. And that way you can have colourful light bulbs for the rest of the period of time. And it's a good visual reminder because you can stick it up in your desk, on your desk, on your mirror, whatever. And that way you can see, did I do my habit today? And it's going to get you into that, habit formation really well. The other one is accountability. So letting others know what you're doing. So sharing it on Facebook. Certainly, I know that's what Leanne did with her decluttering. She put it on Facebook, and therefore it was kind of this thing that she had to do every day. She told people she was going to do it. You can have an accountability buddy. What a buddy is someone that goes alongside you for the journey. They might be trying to achieve a different goal to you, but they're also trying to achieve a goal or have a habit every day. So it could be simply sending each other a text or a message each day and going, hey, how'd you go today? And they'll go, yep, thumbs up, got things done. Or it might be, oh, no, bad day, whatever. Or they might just ignore it and go, I haven't done it, I'm not going to say anything. That other person can then hold you accountable and say, hey, are you ignoring me because you haven't done your habit? That way you get that reminder going. Speaking of which, one thing I will be adding, it was meant to be added this quarter, but things just didn't quite go to plan. But I have created a little course, or I'm creating a little course about voice prompts. So how you can use your phone, the little reminders in your phone, the little pop-up reminders, the little alarms that go off, and you can set voice prompts for yourself, or you can grab me in your head. Because I have people tell me they like to have me in their head. It reminds them that they haven't done something. So I have little reminders like, it'll come up as a little reminder at 3:00 in the afternoon. Oi, are you doing something productive or fun? If you're not, get back to it. And it just stops you in your tracks and makes you remember, I actually wanted to be doing something better than what I'm doing now. Because at the end of the day, fun is fine. But procrastinating and scrolling and all that, that's not good. Okay, so we need to change that habit. So hopefully today that's just given you some insights on setting habits, why they're important to have good habits, but identifying bad habits and how we should be breaking them. Breaking those bad habits, using those cues of making it invisible, making it difficult and unsatisfying and all that so that we don't want to do them anymore. Form those new habits using those 3 key things: motivation, your ability, and starting small, and also that stacking, habit stacking. And then tracking and accountability is super important. So I always suggest homework with my sessions, because if you're going to, bother to hang around for these, you really need to do something with them. So what do you want to change? Is there anything you want to change about your current habits that you do? What is there something you want to achieve in the next period of time? And therefore having a new habit would be helpful. Apply those bad habit tips. So remove that chocolate bar, don't buy more bickies into the house. We are just talking about this the other day. My partner's work has Tim Tams in the fridge and stuff. And the thing is, when they're there, he'll open the fridge and he'll grab one. But if they're not there, he won't go out and buy them or anything. It's just because they're there. They really don't need to be there. So by the way, if you do have staff, a lot of staff don't want to be tempted by stuff like that. So you might think it's good for them, to have these, we're being nice to our employees, but maybe, grapes or something might be a better option. So we can help people to create new habits and help ourselves to create new habits. And then have some way of tracking the habits to make sure you're actually doing them. Because as we know, and there's numbers, thrown around everywhere, it's 21 days, it's 30 days, it's 60 days, it's 90 days, whatever it is, we need to do something over and over again until it finally becomes just something we do automatically. And lastly, seek help if you need help. So as I mentioned earlier, I am a professional certified coach. You can get assistance from me to help you and to address any of these blocks. Maybe there's a reason why you're not able to do that habit. And that's certainly where coaching comes into play. The training side on that is more teaching you ways and methods to help you actually implement if you need it. Also, remember, I do have the FAQ Business Training, Business Growth Membership for businesses that want to grow. So I have this. There is on-demand training, courses like this one, as well as longer courses. There is no lock-in. There's a month with the monthly option. You get some action accountability sessions. So what they are is joining the members, and we come on and we work on our businesses. So we turn cameras off and things, but we spend 15 minutes setting intentions, 5 minutes in between each section, just having a review. How are we going? Helping people get unstuck. But for instance, one of the ladies is using that time to work on her admin. So she's using that time to really get that good, work on her business, work on her admin time. And she's just finding that's actually been quite productive. So think about how you could use that time wisely. There's a lot of training already in the on-demand library. So you just grab what you need, grab the bite-sized piece you need when you need it, which is awesome. And there's also a monthly Q&A session where you can pick my brain on any topic. So we also do quarterly planning. We just finished our quarterly planning for the next quarter, but the next one we will be doing is in July, which is on the annual financial planning. So we do annual financial planning in July. In January, we do annual year planning, which is more about the vision and the goal setting and stuff like that. And then the 2 quarters in between, we do quarterly planning, which is about getting it into your calendar, breaking that goal that you want to get down. And what people said they found to me when they did that exercise is, first of all, they were frustrated. I said, pick one goal and one goal alone. But then secondly, they were overwhelmed by all the stuff to do to achieve that one goal, which is exactly why I want you to break it down like that. And remember that if you try to achieve everything at once, you'll probably achieve nothing. So if there's any questions, I'll just quickly see if there's any in the lives, because I don't know that it's feeding through properly into Be Live. I'll quickly see if I can see any. Otherwise, do feel free to reach out to me or make comments on the videos and things. So I'll just double check and see whether I can see anything. Otherwise, that's it for today. So thank you so much for coming along. I hope that's been helpful to you and that you have learned something new or reminded yourself, usually in this case, to do something, okay? Because that is often the thing, right? We just need to be reminded that we, kind of have been neglecting some of our good habit formation. So it can't see any more comments there. So I think we're okay. But if I have missed anything, I will catch up with it later. So thank you. And we will see you again soon for another tea time tip. Catch you later. Bye-bye.